All right, let's talk about the Chicago Bears. Now that the first, we'll call it wave of free agency has kind of died down, we can take a step back and analyze what every team has essentially done, and especially the Bears. We know Chicago's been incredibly active, making a ton of big moves. But when you look into the data and really analyze it, people need to understand what an incredible job and a smart strategy the Bears are enacting right now. This is really phenomenal stuff. We'll get into that in just a second. But first, I'm Nick, that's Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, the Chicago Bears, obviously, they made a ton of moves, but they did it with a really key strategy in mind. Look, any team, when they're trying to improve their roster this offseason, they're trying to do it with a certain team building strategy, a roster construction plan, if you will, because the NFL obviously is full of constraints. You got the salary cap, you got the number of players you can have on your active roster. You got to live within those constraints to try and build the best roster you can. And with that in mind, there are a couple approaches that a lot of teams use, right? There's really two approaches that take a team from okay to contending, but there's really one championship approach. And we'll walk through those approaches real quick, and then we'll talk about what the Bears are doing. It's really incredible stuff. So the first approach is the top heavy approach. This is fairly common. You see this, for example, with the San Francisco 49ers. The Los Angeles Rams did this for a very, very long time. Teams like the Bengals do this, the Cowboys, the Dolphins. A lot of teams use this in the NFL. You can see on the graph here, this is just roster construction in terms of where you rank in the NFL. So the get up to 32 on the left axis there. The y-axis, that would be the highest. Down at the bottom would obviously be the lowest. And on the x-axis, you have elite, high, middle, low, and rookie. So obviously, if you're near the top of the NFL and spending money on elite players, top-heavy roster, you're not going to have as much money for the high, middle, and low players, and you're going to have to rely a lot on rookie deals and cheap deals, right? This is generally what top-heavy teams, again, the 49ers are probably the most prominent example of this. The Rams were like this for a number of years as well. This is the top heavy approach. It's a good approach. It usually gets you winning because it gets you a lot of really good players, but it doesn't really work in a lot of titles. It doesn't get you over the top. Now let's go into our second approach, which is fairly common. This is the overpay with rookie quarterback approach. Everyone talks about this all the time. You got a rookie quarterback on the cheap deal. You can see the rookies now really spiked over on the far right. Now, you don't have a lot of money for elite players, so you bring in as much money as you can for the high and middle players, right? You could really try and go elite, but then you would be really skewed. You have all this cap space. You got a rookie quarterback. You're trying to build a complete infrastructure. So you'll spend a lot of money on middle tier and high tier offensive linemen, receivers, right? You'll just throw a lot of dollars. You'll try and improve the defense a lot. For example, this is what Ryan Poles did last year. This is a phenomenal example of that right here. And this is very common. The Texans did this. The Jacksonville Jaguars did this. Again, it's not a bad approach. The results are a little mixed. You have what the Texans did, winning games, winning playoff games. You have what the Bears did last year, not so much, although you could probably blame that a lot on coaching and some other external factors there. And then there's the third approach, which is a lot harder. It's the championship approach. Let's pull it up here. So the championship approach actually is all about minimizing the number of elite players you have, having a staggering amount of high quality players, a solid amount of middle of the road players, almost no low players, and then about middle of the road rookie deals, right? This is what the Philadelphia Eagles do, right? They don't have a lot, if you look at the Eagles, a lot of like superstars, like first team all pro, MVP caliber players, but they got a lot of high end players, a really good chunk of middle of the road players, very few low end players, and then some contributing rookies. The Chiefs are like this example, is a good example of this as well. They've got a couple superstars, they've got an incredible amount of high end and middle players, and then it tapers off from there. Now, this next graph should make Chicago Bears fans very excited. This is the championship approach overlaid with the Bears' current roster construction. You can see this on the screen there. Blue is the championship approach, the red is the Bears. Look at that, folks. I mean, that is a near line for line correlation between what the Bears have constructed the roster after this offseason's move with what the championship approach is, which is what the Eagles do, which is what the Chiefs do. This is phenomenal stuff, Chicago fans. I mean, if you need a representation, just a graph to get you through these next few months as you get ready for football season, this is it right here. This is what Ryan Poles has done. It's a genius job. It's an incredible job. In the past few off seasons, he's done a few different approaches, not terrible in terms of what's standard in the NFL, but not championship caliber. Look at this stuff, folks. It is literally following the championship approach absolutely perfectly. This is awesome. This is incredible. We'll have to see how it shakes out on Sundays, but in terms of how the front office has constructed the Bears roster, a title could be coming a lot sooner than people realize. All right, Miles, that's enough from me. I know I went through a lot of graphs there. Big Microsoft Excel channel, of course, over here at Saturday Morning Inspection. But first, Bears fans in the comment section below, now that you've seen the data, now that I've kind of walked you through all this stuff, how would you grade this Bears offseason so far? Do you think it's an A plus based on this? Or do you still think there's moves that need to happen? Do you still think there's some holes that need to be addressed? Maybe you're holding out a little grade, little reserve. Maybe it's only a C, B minus, or maybe for whatever reason you hate it. You think they missed out on a guy or something like that. Give us your grade and your overall commentary involving the Bears and Ryan Poles. He's taken some criticism, but this is phenomenal. The data speaks for itself, though, I think, in my opinion. But let us know your thoughts. I want to hear from you guys in the comment section below. But Miles, enough from me. Over to you. What are your thoughts on all things Chicago Bears?
Yeah, Nick, I think when you look at the graphs the way you laid it out, I mean, obviously the first two were just giving examples, but finally, the last one for the Bears, if you look at their roster and you doubt that this is what they're doing, just take a peek at their roster and you can see the correlations, especially in the players that they've added. Because the roster was the roster the first time around, but let's talk about the guys that they added and where they fit in here. I in my opinion, I think Dahlman and Thuney, the offensive linemen they add, probably in that high tier. They're very good players, upper level guys. Then you look at the middle tier players. I think Grady Jarrett is on a little bit of a downside, so he's probably middle of the road type of guy now. Ode Ingbo is probably a little bit on the upswing as a younger guy. He's probably still in that middle of the road category as well. Then you've got other guys around that they've added in the past. I think Kevin Byard, probably a middle of the road player. This just shows this Bears team, and blast me in the comments if you want to, but it doesn't have any superstar power outside of Caleb Williams, who's in the rookie category. He doesn't go into that elite category. They don't have too many elite players. They have a lot of good high level players, a lot of good middle level talent. It's more of a structuring of dollars because I think that you can get away. You still have to pay for high level players, but it's not nearly. You're not resetting the market. You could probably pay someone like in the realm of like top 10 to 15 level money for a high level player. So I think that this is going to be the future one day. We're going to see teams catch on to this because it's almost, is it worth resetting the market, getting the next big guy? Is it worth paying, Jamar Chase 50 million, $100 million, something like that? Or is it worth bringing in DJ Moore and paying him a little less than that, have him come in here and just keep that strategy going on? I think these are the kind of things we're going to see as people do the analysis, break things down like the way you did, Nick, here, and say, hey, do we really need to go and get, the next top level guard in all of football, the next top level center? Or we could go get someone like Dahlman, who I'd say is very underrated. People don't talk enough about him. He's a very, very good player. But with being underrated, they can bring him in and they don't have to reset the market to get guys like this. I think is a really interesting strategy. The Bears are following this right here. Obviously, they're not the ones who invented it. Best teams in football have been doing it for a little while here, but we're just seeing this is a good strategy. I think it works, and you see with the additions on this roster that the Bears have been going in this direction, and I'm excited about it because I think this is going to be the difference of what we saw the last few years, a little bit of floundering, a little bit not going, because now we have the coaching in place with Johnson. I think it's going to make a big difference. We've got the players in place with the final kind of construction. You can kind of see along the road what Ryan Poles has been doing, what kind of trajectory he's been shooting for. And now there's the proof in the pudding, and that's the charts and things that you show as some of the other teams around the league who have been using this strategy. I think the Bears are set on an upward trajectory themselves. I think they're going to move probably from that middle to low category that they were in as a team the last couple of years, more towards the high and maybe even elite category in the next couple of years as well.
Yeah, and it's important to call out the Chicago Bears in terms of learning from their mistakes and adapting, right? This is what a lot of teams really struggle to do. They kind of pick a strategy, then they roll with it forever. I'm going to pick on the 49ers here for a little bit. They were a super top heavy team going back to like 2019, 2020. They followed that all the way through 2022 and 2023. And they never really changed. And they were making deep playoff runs. And they were said, well, we're going to conference championships. We made a couple Super Bowl appearances. This is phenomenal. But they never tweaked their strategy. Like the Philadelphia Eagles tweaked their strategy a little bit. If you go back to their performance in 2022, they actually changed a little bit and they went more of this title approach. They kind of tweaked their model to match the Chiefs, trying to get a little bit more high-end, middle-of-the-road players with some of the deals they brought in free agency, as opposed to just the top-end, high-end, superstar, big-name talent. And obviously, the Eagles won the Super Bowl this year. I'm not saying they're directly correlated, but, it's pretty darn close. I think the Chicago Bears are learning from, I don't want to say it's a mistake, but it's a difference in strategy from being a good team to being a championship team. Now, you still have to execute. You got to win on Sundays. You gotta throw the ball, gotta catch the ball, gotta block and tackle. Coaching has to do their thing. But I really think one of the key points here is you don't have a chance to be great unless your roster is constructed for championships, right? This is one of the things everyone talks about in any organization, business, family, church, nonprofit, whatever. If you don't have the organizational structure to achieve great things, it doesn't matter if you have great people, you're just not going to do it. Right. If you're a startup and you're like, oh, we want to be a billion-dollar company, but you have three people working for you, you don't have capital, you can't raise money. And it's like, well, doesn't matter how great your product is, doesn't matter how many, you could have three super geniuses working for you. You don't have the infrastructure in place. You don't have the processes, the systems, the dollars in place to grow and become a phenomenal company. The Bears have created the roster construction to achieve greatness, right? The data shows it. Like, this isn't our opinion. This isn't, we like the Bears. The Bears make big name moves. Yeah, they're doing good things. Ryan Poles, yeah. The data, the raw analytical numbers compared against the best strategy in football is perfectly aligned with what the Bears have been doing. This is just awesome stuff, phenomenal stuff from the Chicago Bears front office. And I think one of the things going forward, I think teams are going to see what happens with the Chicago Bears, and they're going to be able to learn from this and like, hey, this is what we need to do to win. And when you're leading the charge, like the Bears kind of are right here, I know the Philadelphia Eagles and the Chiefs did it first, but I think a lot of people view Philly and Kansas City as kind of, anomalies. Oh, the Chiefs are Patrick Mahomes. Oh, the Eagles, they draft really well. Howard Roseman's the best. We can't replicate that. But what the Bears have done here is basically gone through multiple quarterbacks, multiple coaches, a bunch of different trades, and now they are perfectly aligned for championship success. Whatever results they have, I think they'll be really good on Sundays and going forward to the next few years. Teams are going to look at that and they're going to be like, how can we be like the Bears? And when you're on the cutting edge of executing strategies, you're in a good place to be. This is what the Patriots were like for so long during their dynasty. They were on the cutting edge of changing strategies, and teams followed them. For example, in the early 2000s, everyone was running a 4-3 cover 2 defense, that Tampa 2 Tony Dungy defense. Bill Belichick switches to 3-4 with massive nose tackles. Fast forward 5 years, not everyone's running a 3-4, right? Then teams, trying to figure out how to move the football against this 3-4, this big heavy defense. The Patriots in 07 basically bring a college spread offense into the NFL. Now, of course, everyone runs a spread offense, right? If you're on the cutting edge, it usually means you're doing something right. You don't have to be the pioneer. You don't have to be the first person to do it. But when you recognize what championship success, the strategies needed to achieve it, and you go out and execute on that, that's the place you want to be. I give the Bears front office a lot of credit. They've obviously made big moves. The roster's a lot better on paper. We've talked about that. Everyone's talked about that. But the strategy in place is almost as important as the execution of the moves, because without a great strategy, you're just, you're spraying and praying, right? Just trying to, throwing darts, just seeing if we can hit something. Not a way to be successful. Great job by the Bears front office here.